Wow, I am completely blown away at the response the last video had. As of recording, it's cracked almost 4,000 views in less than 2 weeks. I would also like to thank the comments for bringing up some points that I neglected in the last video. Firstly, tangle kelp is not actually a plant, as it's a type of algae, which are protists and not plants. I'm not really sure how I didn't know this, because I'm an absolute nerd when it comes to science, but bragging aside, I didn't know this, so thanks for pointing that out, your girl Spongy Pungy. Secondly, BTDI Mad states that spike rock is also technically not a plant, because it's just rocks. I thought about putting spike rock initially in the first video, but it really haven't been of much use besides with like zombonis. Spikeweed is a plant though, so I'm not allowed to have spikeweed attack before I upgrade it, so I just have to plant it immediately and then spike rock afterwards. Anyways, with that aside, if you're new, basically the challenge is just using the plants on screen right now. With all that said, we're going to be attempting the survivals and the choose your seed minigames, as well as some other ones that could be possible. So let's get started. All the survival levels are actually pretty easy. Because they're all just basically normal levels, I played them like I would play a normal level. Day was actually very easy, and it's my first use of spike rock throughout the entire challenge. Mostly just because this is my first level I played after adventure mode was done. So yeah, pretty easy. Night was even easier, because, you know, it's nighttime, of course it's gonna be easier. Pool was also pretty easy, surprisingly. Early game was really rough though, but other than that, it was pretty fine. Fog, though, was a bit annoying just because I couldn't see anything. Other than that, also very, very easy. Roof had a handful of rough moments, but it was also very easy. I gotta stop saying very easy. It's kind of getting annoying. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm terrible at writing scripts. Anyways, back on topic. Here's where things get a bit interesting. Because of the version of the game I'm playing, I actually can't do the hard survivals, so here's what I did. I ended up completing them all on my computer and just taking a few notable screenshots of some moments during them. Day hard was actually pretty simple. I had a couple close calls with a handful of balloon zombies, which you can tell by the craters and reserve doom shrooms, but other than that, this was pretty easy. Night hard, however, actually put up a bit of a challenge. Not because it was difficult by any means, just because of how many balloon zombies there were. Hold up, I have to show you some of these screenshots. It is ridiculous how many of them there were. I ended up getting it like my third try, but like, wow. Pool hard made me remember how much I hate diggers. Man, I can't stand diggers. Wait. Anyways, after dealing with the stupid diggers, the next wave was gargantuars, football zombies, and balloon zombies. Possibly the worst combination I have ever seen in any single survival hard run I have ever had. After beating this wave, my defense is completely ravaged. So the abundance of newspaper and cone heads were very annoying to deal with only one gloomshroom remaining. So I just had to reset the entire run at that point. Only for me to get 8 flags in and get completely stormed by balloon zombies again and have to restart again. So the third try was actually much easier though. The only really difficult waves were waves 6 through 8 because it was snorkel zombies, diggers, and dolphins. But with imitated tangle kelp, I think it wasn't that bad, but like it was still a little annoying. Wave 8 through 10 were much easier though, because this is when I realized that waves with newspapers substituting for cone heads are infinitely easier than ones with cone heads. Due to our main damage dealers, which are Gloomshroom and Spike Rock, dealing with newspaper is much easier because they have Pierce. So third try was the charm. Fog was probably the easiest survival hard by far. There were a handful of threatening zombies, like Zombonis, Snorkels, and Jacks, but because I actually think ahead, I had counter set up before these zombies even became a threat. Besides Jack in the Boxes, I had 6 magnet shrooms, and yet they still managed to blow up almost all of my Spike Rocks. But yeah, Fog was still pretty easy. Roof was actually probably just as annoying as Pool was, if not more. Early game was pretty rough, but it wasn't too bad. But all the early games in daytimes are rough, so it's not really exclusive to Roof. The first waves that were actually notable was 4 through 6, where there were balloon zombies galore, like always, my favorite. They weren't as bad as they were in Night and Pool, but they were still quite a lot of them. You can tell just by how many craters there are at the beginning of wave 6 in this screenshot how many doom shrooms I had to use to take care of them. Speaking of wave 6, despite being just football zombies and bucket heads and pole vaulters, it completely destroyed my defense, leading me to die a handful of times at the beginning of wave 8 until I started using double doom again. After that, it was smooth sailing though. So with that, that's the end of the survival levels. Now it's time for the minigames. This is kind of unrelated to this video, but you can probably assume what my favorite game is just based off of my music choices in these videos. Anyways, we're going to start with the ones on the easier sides, then we're going to work our way up to the really hard ones. Up first is Zombotany, which can be completely cheesed with Puffshroom and Sunshroom, as the Peas can't even touch them, and then you can just use instas on Walnut Zombies for an extremely easy win. After Zombotany, in difficulty was Zombotany 2. However, this one's a little bit more difficult because Seashroom can be targeted by projectiles, unlike Puffshroom. So it was just a little bit more challenging, but with Doomshroom and Iceshroom, it was still a very easy win. Next up after that was Last Stand. Just use Gloomshrooms for damage and Tangle Kelp for Dolphin Zombies. It's a pretty easy win. After Last Stand in difficulty is going to be Zombie Nimble. I'm kind of surprised how a lot of the pool minigames are actually on the easier side, but I just played this level like a normal pool level, so Gloomshrooms, Tangle Kelp, Sea Shrooms, the whole shebang. Pretty easy. Alright, you can tell by the sudden music change that this is where stuff gets real. Our final two minigames, Pogo Party and Bobsled Bonanza, are absolutely ruthless. Starting with Pogo Party, I was having a ridiculously hard time on this one. It's just so hard to set up a defense with this rule set because the Pogos just come in way too early for you to have enough sun to take care of them. That is, until I found this video from 3 years ago by Enter Gaming, where they did this exact challenge. So technically it is possible, but I went ahead and also did it by myself using their strategy. Channel and video link will be in the description. The way they did it was actually pretty strange, basically setting up their defense all the way in the back instead of on the front. I'm kind of ashamed of myself for not thinking of something this simple earlier, so I went ahead and replicated it with only 9 seed slots, so I ended up getting the Ice Shroom. And even after using the strategy, it still took me a couple more tries to get an actually good run that I managed to complete. Unfortunately, I did the worst thing a Plants vs. Zombies player could do in this situation. Miss exactly one zombie when Doomshroom in the final wave. I know, I'm the worst PVZ player in human history. It's just how it is sometimes. But the fun is just starting with the true ultimate challenge, Bobsled Bonanza. Unfortunately, I genuinely think this level is impossible. The luck you would need to have to complete this with our rule set is absolutely astronomical. So in order to complete this, I made one minor change to the challenge. I used Spikeweed. I mean, I know it's called Spikeweed, but come on, it barely even looks like a plant. Yeah, who am I kidding? It definitely is. But of course, the second I made this minor change, the level was an absolute cakewalk. The problem that we were having before was that we didn't have any cheap solutions to kill early Zombonis. But since we can use Spikeweed, that's not really a problem. So yeah, that's officially the end of the challenge. It's unfortunate we managed to beat almost everything that got stuck on Bobsled, but I'm happy at how we did on this challenge. Also, don't expect another PVZ video for a while. I am completely burnt out of this game. That's part of the reason why this video took so long to get out. But if you happen to be in the relatively niche subgroup of Plants vs. Zombies and Fortnite videos, then stick around, because next video is going to be a big one. As always, thank you for watching. I'm out.